I have all the way from Nigeria, Ochuko, with me. And today we are discussing this very important topic, understanding the teaching profession and mental health challenges. For last few months, I've been working on same topic, and you know, as you all saying, every weekend, one of the educators coming here on board and talking to us on the topic. I'm so glad that today I have Achiko with me. She's a positive mindset coach, a career clarity coach, a mental health counselor, a global speaker, also a former teacher and principal. So this is out of her experience. She's sharing all her knowledge about teaching as profession and mental health challenges that this particular industry faces. Welcome to Abinicio Ochuko. Now stage is yours. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Pooja. Thank you for having me on the program. So I want to thank you for putting this together because, as you said, I am a teacher. My mom was a teacher before she retired. I'm a teacher as well. So I love teaching. I love working with kids. It's something I enjoy doing. It's something I'm passionate about. So I'm always looking out for opportunities to help teachers grow and become better. Now, talking about this topic, understanding the teaching profession and mental health challenges, it's very important to know that as teachers, we are not just in a profession, we are actually impacting lives. We are building nations, we are helping young boys and girls to be better people, better individuals, better citizens, better employees, because everything about a person starts from the foundation. And as teachers, we have the privilege of helping these young minds have three bosses at once. Three immediate bosses. You have to answer to your immediate boss or your supervisor or your line manager or your principal or your head of school. That's one boss. You have the child to attend to. That's another boss. That's the second boss. And you have the parent or the guardian of that child. That's the third boss. So how do you juggle taking care of three bosses at the same time, being efficient at what you do, carrying out your duties, and being excellent at it? Putting all of these together is what helps you be a good teacher. And then remember that talking about mental health, the way you organize yourself is the mental health aspect of it. How do you do all of this without getting burnt out? Being emotionally intelligent, carrying out your assignments effortlessly. That's what this is all about. So far we've gotten to know the importance of teaching. So first of all, you have to develop that mindset that you are not just in a profession, you are not working with machines, working with human minds. So that should help you bring in your human side to this profession. And not just human minds, you are helping other people lay a foundation for their own future and for the future of the nation and the world at large. Wherever you are, whether you're in India, Nigeria, America, Australia, as a teacher, you are a nation builder. The moment you have that as a foundation in your mindset, it will be easier for you to put in more work to do the best. But as they say, you cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot give what you do not have. So what are these things you need as a teacher to be the best version of yourself so that you're able to pour the best into the lives that you are impacting? without any hitch. First of all, one of the things we should know is that we should have boundaries as teachers. Why are boundaries important? I already mentioned that we have three bosses as teachers. Even if we don't remember anything from this, we should remember that that will put us in a state of panic or anxiety. You want to please the child, you want to please your boss, you want to please the school head, you want to please the parent. That's one. So subconsciously, it makes teachers become codependent. What do I mean by that? If if the child is not performing, you see yourself as a failure automatically. So the child's success is what makes you happy. That is already codependency on its own, which is not too healthy because the child is a product of a home and his or her environment as well. So boundaries will help you know where you stop and where the child begins at home. You know you've done your best, you love the child, you love yourself, you've taught and all. But there are other psychological factors that you cannot control. So the moment you have this in mind, you should be able to put your boundaries in place, which will help you with that feeling of being codependent. Yes, a child can learn everything, but if the child is, for instance, from a home that's not too settled in terms of psychology, maybe the parents are always fighting, or another, or maybe the child doesn't have emotional support from home, the child doesn't have anybody to look after him or her, the child doesn't eat well, doesn't sleep well, is not corrected well. That is not to say the child is from a bad home or anything. I'm just bringing that in to let us know that we cannot control everything as teachers. So we should concentrate on what we have control over, which is doing a proper job of teaching the child and providing support in the school and in the classroom. That way, it will help us avoid or reduce codependency, which is one of the mental health challenges teachers have. Because a teacher is generally judged by the output of the child, the results. At the end of the session, you hear people saying, what's the pass rate for this class? Is it 30? Is it 50? Is it 80? Is it 100%? And then if you fall short of a particular score, it seems like as a teacher, you have failed. Yes, on the surface, on paper, it could be that way. But if you know you've put in your best, you've done all you should, you can, it's not a good thing, but at least you find comfort in knowing you were not in control of everything. So as a teacher, how do you try to combat this even if you know that you don't have control over this? One way to do that is by probably reaching out to the parent or the guardian of the child. So for instance, you notice the child doesn't have psychological support or emotional support. You could find out from the child, from the school authority, or from the parents, if that is allowed. You know, some schools don't allow the teachers interface with the parents or the guardians directly. So you could find out from the school so that you know how to give extra emotional support in class, for instance, if that is the case. Or if the child is always coming to school looking unkempt, untidy, no snack, no meal, you try as much as possible to find out if there is anything you can do back end, maybe encouragement or helping the child plan for himself or herself. That can also help out with dealing with the codependence that comes naturally with the teaching profession. That is one of the things that can help. So all of this now it's consolidated into having your boundaries in place. How do you know that, oh, this is my duty as a teacher? This is the duty of the school. This is the duty of the parents. That is where boundaries. So that's the first point we've talked about. The other point is be assertive or learn to say no. Subconsciously, that is under boundaries as well. There are some things that you as a teacher we shouldn't get involved in. Not because we are cruel or something or anything negative, but because we try as much as possible to work within the limits so that teaching appears as a professional job. Because if it's not properly handled, it seems like it's just a regular roadside thing. You can be a teacher, you can be a house help, you can be this, you can be that. That is not to say as a good teacher you cannot help a child, but know your limits. Know your limits. For instance, because you're a very good teacher, the child is not eating, you start thinking of how to probably help the child cook. Maybe after school, you go to the child's house. It's not done. It's not done in the name of, that is quite extreme though, but I'm just trying to paint a picture of how we should know our boundaries and work within our limits. We should know where we stop and where the others begin. It could be parents, it could be we should be able to know how to say no. Then as a teacher, in most cases, towards the end of the term or the session, there is this anxiety, this panic. We are trying to work with the kids. We are trying to get results together. We are trying to put reports in place. We are trying to have parent conferences and all that. This is the point where you start hearing heated arguments, loud conversation, and all that. So, if we are conscious of our mental health, this is the point where we should sit down with ourselves and honestly try as much as possible to find out what our triggers are. Because everyone cannot keep walking on eggshells because we are not in a good mood or because we are tensed up or because we are anxious. No, everybody should be free around us. Everybody should be comfortable being around us, not being scared that they will be spoken to harshly or rudely. And later you go back to say, oh, I'm sorry, I was in a bad mood. Try as much as possible to know your triggers. For instance, some people are quite cranky if they don't get a good night's rest or if they don't take breakfast. So please, just try as much as possible to sleep or get something to eat so that everybody will be at peace. It's that simple. Try to know the things that will upset you, then try to avoid them. It's not professional to keep giving excuses about the same thing over and over again. Just know the things that work for you and the things that don't work. Then try as much as possible to work around these things so that you can be your best as a teacher. You can be productive, you're happy with yourself, and you're happy with your colleagues and with the children. Because if you are your best, it will be easier for the students or the pupils to relate with you. It will be easier for them to ask you questions when they are not sure or when they do not know. It will be easier for you to have a healthy conversation with them. Then the fourth point that can help us as teachers to manage our mental health is we should try as much as possible to be professional. The government and some bodies have come up with a scheme or a syllabus that we should work with. We try as much as possible to work within that frame. Though as teachers, we are always encouraged to think outside the box, to be creative, to make learning fun. At the same time, all of this should be within the frame of the standard that has been set by the government or the body that's regulating education, wherever you find yourself, or in whatever continent you are. It will be easier to be professional when you work with the government, when you work with your scheme. So if you are saying you want to do something outside the box and it's not in the scheme, how do you explain that? How do you explain that to anyone? Because if anything comes out of it, whether good or bad, it will affect you adversely. You become anxious, you are trying to respond to queries, for instance. It will definitely throw you off balance, and that can have a negative effect on your mental health. So try as much as possible to just work within the frame of what has been provided, and then it's easier for everyone to work with you and for you to be on the right side of the law. Now, another thing I like telling teachers that will help in their journey for a good or a balanced mental health is to have a side hustle, probably another source of income. Yes, as teachers, most teachers are passionate about their jobs. That's one thing I've noticed. They'll complain to you, they'll tell you, oh, the pay is not too good, but I love my job. I love these kids. I love the impact I'm making and all that, which is true. And I applaud teachers for that. Now we are in the age of technology where we can actually make money from our homes after work. So there is nothing really wrong if, as a teacher, you have an extra source of income. That way, it takes some pressures off you. It takes some pressures off you financially. So you are not too in the pace of the children, trying as much as possible to finish quick so that you do something else that may not be in line with teaching and make you distracted. There are lots of side hustles. You could think of affiliate marketing. You could think of writing a book that's in line with what you are teaching, for instance. It mustn't be something lengthy. It could be a guide. It could be a guide for your colleagues. It could be a guide for the students or the pupils. It could even be something as easy as a coloring book. You could get that side hustle. Or if you bake or sew or something, that is fine. But the bottom line is if you try as much as possible to get something, an extra source of income, so that teaching is not the only source of income you have. That way, it will help you to be focused and productive and not distracted. You won't be distracted when you're always thinking of how to pick a particular bill or another. Then the next point is, as teachers, we should try as possible to network. Have a life outside school. Have a life outside classroom. Learn to take yourself out or go out with other people who may not be in the teaching profession, so that you have, your world is not revolved around pupils, teachers like you. Have friends in other cars, they could be tech enthusiasts, they could be photographers, they could be artists, they could be caterers, they could own restaurants. Have a network of other professionals. This can even give you ideas with which you can teach in the class once in a while. You could go somewhere, you see something, you're using it as an illustration in the class. And it keeps you grounded and rounded. So you're versatile as a teacher. Everything is not centered around your classroom. So keep a healthy network of other people. There are ways to go about this. You could maybe join a group. There are lots of WhatsApp groups, there are lots of Telegram groups, Facebook groups, LinkedIn. It could be a professional network. It could be based on what you studied in school. The bottom line is try as much as possible to have a life outside school. Take walks in the evening, visit people, travel during the holidays. Just do something different from being in the classroom all day, every day. That will help you really stay focused and grounded. Then, one of my favorite subjects, that's the next point. That's the next point. Practice self-love and self-care. That's one of my, if you wake me up at 3, I can give you volumes on self-love and self-care. I won't think, it's natural. It helps. It helps. Have a routine of self-love and self-care. For instance, you can come up with affirmations. Oh, I am an intelligent teacher. I am impacting lives. I am the best I want to be. Come up with these things because you keep pouring into people, you keep pouring, and it's difficult for people to pour into you because you are busy pouring into people. So be your own cheerleader, be your own fountain, produce your happiness for yourself. Have a routine of self-love and self-care. I am willing to help you out if you are watching this to get that routine, or you could contact Pooja. I'm saying this to let you know how important this is. Practice a routine of self-love and self-care. It mustn't be expensive. It must not involve money. For instance, if you're talking about self-care, it could be something as simple as, okay, I'm going to get my nails done today. I'm going to drink at least 2 liters of water. I'm going to sit down for 20 minutes to meditate or think of all the good things that have been happening to me. It could be a child who did well in a test that has not been doing well. We know you love these pupils. So in most cases, your activities are revolved around them. Your self-care routine could involve being grateful for what is happening in school. You could think of probably just taking a walk on the beach. It is that simple. You are not paying for it. Get close to nature. Take care of yourself. It could be something as simple as saying, okay, I'm going to have my bath twice every day. I'm going to wash myself thoroughly. I'm going to take my makeup out after work so that I'll have a clean, fresh face. I can breathe well. It could be something as little as a breathing exercise. But have a routine where you pour into yourself consciously, not accidentally, not something you just maybe when you see on TV, or as I'm saying this now, you do it and after that, boom, you're done. No. Have a timetable for that. What myself today? Okay, I'm conscious, I'm taking 2 liters of water. My nails should be impeccable. My clothes should be properly ironed. My bag should be neat. My shoes, everything, I should be on point. Take care of yourself. Nobody will take care of you. I will tell you that. You are taking care of the pupils. You are taking care of your students. You are taking care of their emotional well-being and everything. Find time to take care of yourself and stay grounded. That will help you in your journey of mental wellness as a teacher. It will help a lot. Now, the next step is gratitude. Now, Why I love gratitude is gratitude naturally takes you from lack to abundance. That is the simplest way of explaining what gratitude does. Now, let me ask, at what point do you say thank you? Is it before somebody gives you something or after? At what point? I like comments, please. I'm checking. Or somebody could just unmute and say something. At what do you say thank you? At what point do you show gratitude? Is anybody helping us out with that?
See, I think, gratitude can be for everything. I always feel, gratitude for many things, and including the technology. When I have started the campaigning, I thought, because I was not there in any of the social media, so I just got into the LinkedIn and I started doing, all these things what I'm doing, and eventually I have realized, what are the different things we have in current world to be to express our gratitude, including, obviously people who are supporting and who are making us learn many things, and to obviously to environment, to life. And I think we have many small and big things to be grateful for. So it's always about where and from what we feel good. For everything we can be grateful. So that is what I think.
Thank you, Pooja. That is exactly what it is. What gratitude does, it keeps you in a state of abundance. So instead of dwelling on you don't have, you are focused on the things you have. And what that does for you is it helps you gain more. So instead of dwelling on, oh, I couldn't do this, I don't have this, I don't have that. Oh, just as Pooja said, wow, thank God I can communicate with people all over the world because of technology. Thank God I can get materials to teach because of technology. I can go on virtual field trips with my students because of technology. Oh, I'm grateful. I had good water to drink this morning. I had a fresh meal, warm meal. I have my family. I have my friends. I'm alive. I am well. All those are things to be grateful for. Now tell me, when you're spending time being grateful for these things, when do you think you have time to start sulking or thinking of what you don't have? No, instead your gratitude will open you up to ways you can get more things. You'll be thinking of acquiring more skills to help you be a better teacher, or as I mentioned earlier, more skills to help you make more money as a teacher. Yes, that's what gratitude does. It just keeps you in this state of, oh, more, you can do more, you can have more, you can keep getting better. So it is very important for our mental health to practice gratitude. Do it intentionally. Now, I've talked about this before, but I'm saying it now as a subtopic on its own. That's the ninth point. Skill up. Skill up. It could be in the teaching profession. Oh, I want to have a certificate from the British Council on teaching a particular subject according to the British standard, for instance. I want to have a certificate in tech. Oh, tech is a new big thing now. Let me be a tech sis or a tech bro. It could be anything. Just make sure you're investing in personal development. You're acquiring new skills. You are getting better every single day. Because as teachers, there's something I realized. There was one day I saw a child I taught about 10 years ago in Nigeria. He was already serving. It's called National Youth Service Corps. It's a compulsory one for graduates after school. And I looked at him. He studied medicine. I said, very soon I'll walk into a clinic and the pupil I taught will start treating me, or I'll go into the bank, they're attending to me. So imagine if you have not skilled up. I hope I'm communicating. If you have not skilled up, you just find yourself, it's like you are in a particular spot. You've helped to groom people, they are doing excellently well, but you have not moved an inch. There is everything to be proud of as a teacher when you see the people you taught doing excellently well. In fact, there's an adage that says a good teacher wants the students to be better. That is excellent. That is what it should be. However, you as an individual, what are you doing to make your own teachers proud? People taught you. So what are you doing to skill up so that when your teachers see you, they will be happy that, oh, I'm the one who taught this girl, I'm the one who taught this boy. Now she's doing this and she's doing that. What are you doing to skill up, to develop yourself professionally or personally? If you do that, you have a sense of fulfillment. And there's something that comes with fulfillment. You are relaxed. You feel secure in your own space. You are not feeling threatened. You are not feeling bad. You are not emitting any negative vibe because you are okay. You know you are doing well in your own space. So if you skill up, that will help you as much as possible to stay positive and to have a very good mental health as a teacher. Now, the last tip I'll be talking about is that you should be self-aware and self-confident. As a teacher, you should be self-aware. I've touched on this topic while talking, but self-awareness is actually the bedrock of professionalism. What are you good at? As a teacher, do you have your SWOT analysis? Do you know what works for you? Do you know what does not work for you? Or are you just comfortable waking up in the morning, going to work, impacting knowledge, going back, same old, 247, 365 days? That's the same doing. Do you know your strengths? Do you know your weaknesses? Are you looking out for opportunities? Are you looking for things to be better, to be a nation builder, to impact your world? Your world in this case is the school where you work. What impact do you have as a teacher? All of this, when you are self-aware, is one of the ways you can be a better teacher. Self-awareness is very vast. It involves a lot of things, but I'm closing in on this one because this is what affects us as teachers. What is self-awareness to you? Do you know yourself? Do you know the things you are comfortable with? Are you in love with yourself? Can you spend time alone with yourself? Do you know your likes and your dislikes? Do you know the things that appeal to you? Do you know the things that you love as a person? For instance, there are some people who love art, but they don't know because they've not spent time with themselves. They've never visited any art gallery. They've not talked with anyone about art. They don't even know that they love art. Self-aware. How do you find out? Being self-aware is the best way to be a good teacher. Why? Because it opens you up for you to know other people. As they say, you cannot give what you don't have. I keep saying this. So if you are not self-aware, how will you help the students you are working with to be self-aware? How do you help them to develop particular talents that you may have noticed they have but are not aware that they have? How do you help them? If you are not self-aware, how will you be able to help these children reach their potential, maximize their potential, tap into their inner light? If you're not self-aware, how are you going to do this? Because it's what you know that you can teach others. It's a path you've crossed, you've walked, that you can help others walk and cross. If you're not self-aware, how are you going to do this? Then self-confidence is also one of these things. You should be confident enough to know that this is my strength. You work with it. You should also be confident enough to know that I'm not so good at this, but I'm willing to try, or no, I'm not going there at all. You should be confident enough to say to things that on the surface may look like opportunities, but because you are self-aware, you know that they are not aligned with your personal values. So you should be able to be confident enough to learn how to say no to things that are not good for you. For instance, this is a general example. It doesn't affect teaching or anything. It's just an example to show us that there are some things that may be good, but they may not be good for us. Now, there's a meal called rice, white rice. It's generally not too good for adults who are diabetic. But if you are not aware that you are diabetic, you continue consuming rice. But the day you know, you stop consuming it. Does that mean that rice is bad? No, it doesn't mean that rice is bad. Rice is not good for you. It doesn't mean that rice is automatically bad. At that moment, because of your health challenge, rice is not good for you. That's the way some opportunities are. They may be very good on the surface. You have all the perks, you have all the allowances, you have all the travel allowance, allowed to go do anything, you have all the insurances. But some of the things that are involved may not be aligned with your personal goals. How will you know if you are not self-aware or you are not confident enough to say no to things that are not good for you? I hope you are getting my drift. That's where I'm coming from. It's when you are self-aware, that is when you will know your values. You know, oh, I want to work with integrity. I want to be honest. I want to be punctual. I want to be known as this or that. If you are not self-aware, anything goes. Anything anybody suggests, you're always going with the tide. You're always coasting along. You don't want to be seen as the odd one out. You want to be the nice person. You want to please everybody. But when you are self-aware, you should be able to know that, yes, this thing is good, but it's not good for me. Thank you very much for the offer, but no, thank you. That is what self-awareness does. That is what it does. So to wrap up, I'm going to leave the definition of mental health as it is stated by World Health Organization. I'm not saying we do not know the definition, but I'm just putting it out there so that we will know what it is. So can you see my screen? Can you see my screen? That place. Okay. It says mental health is a state of mental well-being that enables people to cope with the stresses of life, realize their abilities, learn well and work well, and contribute to their community. It is an integral component of health and well-being that underpins our individual and collective abilities to make decisions, build relationships, and shape the world we live in. Mental health is a basic human right, and it is crucial to personal, community, and socio-economic development. Did we all get that?
Yeah.
Okay. So there are other definitions of mental health, but I particularly like this one from the World Health Organization because it is all encompassing. It shows that it is not just about you. Your mental health affects the community. It affects everyone you come in contact with. It is a state of mental well-being that helps you to cope with stress. So from that definition, we can even see that everyday life involves one form of stress or another. Having a balanced mental health is what will help us cope with these stresses to the point where it seems like it's effortless. It's effortless. If you have a stable mental health, these things happen, they come and they go because you've dealt with how to cope with them. So you are having fun, you are living your best life. If you remember the way I started, I said as teachers, we have 3 bosses. So if you have a stable mental health, you will be having fun dealing with these bosses. Everything is on point. You have your lesson plans in place. You have your reports in place. The kids in your care are happy. Your managers are happy. Your head of school, they are happy. The parents look forward to having conversations with you because they know that you have something to give. You have value to give as a teacher. So have a positive mindset. A teacher, you are imparting lives. So be the best at what you do. Do not look down on yourself, your profession, and don't treat it with levity. Don't get involved with mediocrity. Be the best at what you do. So that is how I'll be rounding up for today. Thank you again for having me, Pooja.
Thank you, Achiko. That was amazing. And, every point that you said, I really, appreciate and I agree because so from the day I've been talking to the teachers, and I always felt that when I have, done my own research, I have realized, except for the, WHO, hardly any other organization particularly talks about teachers' mental well-being, and even educational institutions and administration. Everyone is focusing only on children mental well-being, and teachers are asked to have a check on children's mental well-being. How every child is doing, if child is in a depression. So it is when we are at home managing 2 3 children, it's a very difficult task. So imagine teachers in the classroom managing 100 different emotions at a time, and it is not an easy task at all. As you mentioned, we are not working with machines. We are working with children. We are working with the human brains. So it is not easy. I always felt that it is really, really difficult job to be teacher. If one wants to be really meaningful or passionate or good teacher, it takes a lot. It is not easy task at all, and it is lot of mental stress. It is it is not about one thing they are thinking at a time. So they need to think and respond 100 different things at a time. So it is obviously a stressful job mentally. So I think it is very essential, even including administration, government, or educational institutions, focusing on teachers' mental well-being. So I see in corporates, they make sure that they train their employees, and they'll have leadership coaching, they'll have mindfulness coaching, they'll have different kind of coaching, goal setting, many things happening in corporates. But in schools, it happens in once or twice in a year, or in the name of teachers training. Hardly they get these kind of sessions happening in schools. So I think that same kind of treatment even teachers should get. They should have these kind of sessions as well. And second thing, as you mentioned, it is also teachers' responsibility to be self-aware and take care of themselves. So I believe many teachers, they try to portray themselves as perfect, and they try to do everything that school or children are asking from them, and they feel difficulty in saying no. They feel difficulty in setting boundaries, because I think it's, teachers have that good heart, big heart, and they try to give everything. But I think we have to somewhere realize that teachers also are human beings, and they need rest and they need their own time. So, as you clearly mentioned, it is really, really essential that teachers set their boundaries, teachers learn to say no, and be self-aware, and make sure that they're not saying yes to everything, comes along. Even I have seen teachers being allotted different subjects to teach, because if teacher is a science teacher, and some your administration says that you have to teach math also, so teacher says yes. But sometimes what happens, that is additional, and he or she is not expertise that in that particular subject, still they take it up. And I think that affects negatively even to teacher and to children. So better when you are not expert, and that you have a limitations, you cannot go beyond the limit for that particular subject. You have to have that confidence to say no, that this is not my cup of tea. And everything very beautifully explained. I was making notes, whatever the points you were saying. And I think it was really, really wonderful session, and I believe that many teachers will listen to you, and hope they start taking care of themselves. And thanks a lot for accepting the invitation, and for joining me, and for sharing all these experiences and thoughts. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Pooja.
Thank you all for joining in. You have anything to say, or you can drop a message on YouTube chat, or here in the chat box. We have still 8 more minutes left. You can put in chat box, or you can unmute yourself and speak.
So before they speak, I want to say thank you to all who participated. I'm grateful. I can see Akil, Prof. Big K, Kehinde, Olorunfemi.